Should we kill the innovation funnel? The process of innovation is often represented by the famous funnel. There are many different ways to represent this process, but the philosophy is always the same. First, lay out the challenge. Then, generate as many ideas as possible, the more the better, and introduce them into the funnel. These ideas then pass through a series of filters. Some are discarded, while others move forward. Each stage further solidifies the project, from idea to concept, from concept to plan, and from plan to project. Finally, if the idea has survived all of the filters, it receives the green light and the wheels are set in motion. Let's innovate. Although this funnel has been working for years in many companies, it seems more like a process designed to curb radical ideas and avoid risks, rather than to give options to develop, improve breakthrough ideas, and transform them into innovative projects. Consequently, the funnel does not usually lead to breakthrough innovations. Introducing an idea into the funnel and only removing it at the end of the process does not often result in innovation. The funnel model doesn't allow us to remove the idea so that we are able to test early, fail often, learn a lot, and then improve on the idea as soon as possible. For this reason, this may sound all too familiar. To really innovate, we need a progressive model where the idea can move through multiple stages, evolving further in each one. So, to move from a challenge to innovation, we must redo two phases. The first, the creative thinking that stems from the challenges and provides us with innovative projects to explore. The second, the management of these projects and their implementation in order to transform some of them into innovation. Each one of these two phases requires different methods and abilities. We begin with the first phase, creative thinking. The first step, key to the overall success of the process, consists of reframing the challenge. That is, we must generate questions which attack the challenge from other points of view. The best way to find new solutions is to ask new questions. There are techniques to help us with this task. Within the questions we have generated, we select the newest and the most stimulating of them. With the help of intuitive and rational techniques, we begin an idea generation phase with these questions. The objective is to generate a large quantity of ideas. We begin the phase of convergence by judging the ideas in a progressive manner. We eliminate filters such as feasibility or profitability so that more groundbreaking ideas are not discarded from the start. It doesn't make sense at this stage to rule out an idea as not feasible when we still haven't done anything to make it so. In this way, we are left with the most powerful ideas, not simply the most feasible. Moving right along, we then apply a polishing process to the selected ideas to solidify them, test them, correct their biggest weaknesses, and highlight their strengths, all without losing the essence of the ideas. We complete this process of convergence by thinking about how to sell the idea and facilitate its acceptance. The objective is to define a test so that we can experiment with the idea. If the test is conducted in a controlled environment with limited risk and time, it is more probable that we will be able to get a final approval of a complete project. We try to test the chosen concepts as soon as possible, because the best way of improving them and predicting their potential is to try, fail, learn, improve, and try again. The key is to define beforehand that which we want to learn. That is to say, what doubts do we want to clear up with our test? Now is the time to choose the best ideas from our testing process and move them to the phase of innovation projects. With these ideas selected, we conclude the creative thinking phase. Now we begin the second phase, the development of innovation projects. In this stage, we will develop the selected concepts to transform some of them into innovation. We begin with another phase of divergence where we explore possible deployment scenarios, taking into account their critical points of value. We choose the scenarios that seem the most promising, not the most feasible, to go through testing. Again, our first goal is not to pass on or discard projects without learning to improve them. We will discard them later if necessary. We then move on to do a test in real-world conditions, but in a controlled environment and on a limited budget. We do the test with trusted clients in a limited zone, with a certain department, etc. Again, we integrate the improvements, test new doubts, and continue to improve the concept thanks to real, tested information, not only theoretical, as it was in the old funnel. Finally, we apply the improvements from the test to finish the project and move on to the final phase. Implementation. We begin again with divergence to open more possible paths to implementation. We select some and test them as necessary, and then we'll be ready to launch the project. Let's innovate! This process can be adapted or simplified depending on the type of project, product development, process innovation, etc. In this model, the most important decisions are taken after experimentation, and not earlier as in the funnel model, which decides whether to go to the next step in a more theoretical fashion. Not having all the information to assess the risk of a disruptive idea does not force us to stop it, but to try to think about how to maximize opportunities to improve it and to give it a chance to pull ahead. Because of this, the escalator of innovation leads organizations to be more innovative. Stop funneling and start escalating.